All right, according to Twitch, I'm live. So, howdy, howdy, howdy. I actually don't expect anybody to be around now. It is Saturday. I don't normally stream on a Saturday. I usually stream on a Friday, but I had to reschedule my stream at the last minute yesterday due to some scheduling issues. Anywho, so today I want to have a look at a bunch of AI related news and updates around the WordPress space. So I've got a couple of items on my list that I want to cover. And I'm going to just dive straight in. The very first one is in the plugin check plugin. So if you don't know what the plugin check plugin is, it's a plugin you can install on your WordPress site and use it to check your plugins for submission to the plugin directory. And I've used it before on the stream. You essentially install it, and then you go to plugin check, and then you select the plugin you want to check. I'll go with Dolly, and then you look for, you mark which categories you want to check it for and which types you want to see. And hey, Cameron, Happy New Year, mate. I hope you are well on your side of the pond. And then you hit check it, and it runs a check, and it tells you what's wrong with your code for submission to the plugin directory. So the big change, the big AI related change that happened December 13, I don't think I was on annual leave yet, but I think I missed it, is that you can now use a new tool called Plugin Check Namer to help plugin authors evaluate plugin names for potential conflicts, trademark issues, and naming best practices. So naming your plugin is something that comes up a lot in plugin reviews. And basically they check for things like whether you're using trademarks or whether you are using common terms. And so now you can use this plugin check namer tool. You can put in the name of the plugin you want to evaluate. You can enter your author or brand name if you own the trademark, and you can check if your proposed plugin name has a higher chance of being accepted by the plugin review team. So the way this works is I'm going to have to add my API key to the settings. I've got my stored API keys over on the side here so that I don't leak any of this to you guys. One of my biggest worries about streaming is that I leak some sensitive information. So you select the provider you want to use. I'm going to use Anthropic. Cameron says, the only times I've ever had issues on the repo has been for the name. Yeah, it's one of the first things that gets checked early on. And it's a tricky one. The thing that I always say to folks is have a look at Seriously Simple Podcasting. That's a good example of a plugin with a unique name that describes what the plugin is doing, but isn't too generic. That's always and it helps that I used to work on the plugin. Anyway, so you choose your provider. So I'm going to go with Anthropic. You pop your API key in. You'll see it's already saving it. It saves it automatically. And then you select the model that you want to use. So I'm going to go with Claude Sonnet today just because it's the first one on the list. You save your changes, and then you can use those you can use that model and that provider to check your plugin name. So obviously that allows you to use different models, use different providers. But I'm just going to do the one today, and we'll see what happens. So now if I go to the plugin check namer, I've actually got a couple of plugins that I'm busy working on for demo purposes. So I'm going to use one of those. So there's a WP AI SDK demo that I'm working on, and this PHP AI SDK demo. So I'm going to just grab those, and I have a feeling they're going to cause issues, and that's why I want to use them. So I go into the plugin check namer, and I pop in the plugin name that I want to evaluate, and I can put in my author name, which in my case is Jonathan Bossinger. If I was a company or a brand, I would put the company or the brand in. If I was Facebook or Meta or Google or Bob's, whatever, I would put that in, because if you own the brand, then you can use the brand in the name, those kind of things. And then I can hit evaluate name, I'm going to open up developer tools just so we can see what this is doing in the background. So this is going to create a request. It's an admin Ajax request, which then queries your provider of choice, sends the name, sends the author. There's probably, I'm going to have a look at the code just now. There's probably some prompt that they're adding to it. It then runs, and obviously you're using, your network. So depending on how fast your network is, it could be a bit slow or whatever the case is. And then it throws me an error. So it looks like there's a bug in the code causing this. I'm not sure. It could be related to my network. I'm not sure either. But at least I can see that. I can see the analysis results here. So it's possible naming issues. The display name WP AI SDK demo violates naming guidelines because it uses WP as a standard information for WordPress, which is discouraged in the plugin repository. Since this plugin is being published for WordPress, mentioning WordPress is redundant. The term WP should be removed. And so there is my analysis complete. I don't know why it's struggling to pass this result. There might be a bug in the code. I'm not sure. But there is at least the result. So I can then go, okay, this is not going to work. So what about if I say something like Jonathan's AI SDK demo? Let's see what that does. So we'll hit evaluate. While it's doing that, I'm going to go and have a look at the plugin name, the code. So let's see what this is running. There's the checker. Oh no, that's the checker. I want the name. I'm not going to find it now, am I? Maybe. Plugin checks, run checks. I don't know this code base that well, so I'm going to have a look and see what I can figure out. Okay, so this one, it seems to have been happy with the results, so maybe the result that it got back was weird, and so it couldn't parse it. But there it says, cool, no issue detected. You can call it Jonathan's AI SDK demo, that's fine, because I'm Jonathan, so that's obviously why it doesn't have a problem with it. And there you go. So now I know that this is a plugin name that I can use, so now I can go and rename my plugin accordingly, and there's a higher chance that this will be accepted. Now, it doesn't mean that your plugin name will be accepted, but it just means there's a higher chance that it would be accepted, less of a chance of somebody complaining about it. And so there you go. So that's something interesting. I just want to have a look and see if I can find the Ajax endpoint. I'm probably not going to see it now. No, I'm not. Okay, let's do another evaluation. Let's burn up some tokens. I want to see what it is calling, so I can see what the code is doing. Okay, plugin check name analyze. I will say this, and this is nothing against the folks who are developing this plugin, but it did tickle me a little bit that they weren't using abilities for this, that they're just using good old admin Ajax. Would have been cool if they had used abilities, but I understand why they possibly haven't. Okay, so here's Ajax analyze. Yeah, that's the one. So let's find Ajax analyze. Here we go. So it checks the Ajax referrer, it checks the current user, gets the name, gets the author, it uses get AI config, which we can check in a second, and it runs name analysis. So let's have a look and see what that code is doing. Okay, setting up all of those things. Okay, it's just returning provider model and key. So no, that wasn't what I wanted. That one, Ajax analyze. Okay, get author name, get config, and then run analysis. Let's see what run analysis is doing. So run analysis is probably just going to be making a query, an HTTP query to something. Let's see, let's go run similar name query. Get prompt template. So it gets a prompt template. AI check similar name MD. Let's see if we can find that. Right, putting the wrong place. This is dropping assets, dropping includes admin. Where do we think this is? Get prompt template. Where does it look? It looks in prompt. Oh, of course. So prompts there. AI check similar name. This is run similar name. There we go. Check similar name. And here we go. Here's the prompt that it's using. So if you want to build your own checker, you could use this prompt. So it's using this prompt. And then it is adding the prompt template to the plugin name, plugin description, and then executing an AI request. Let's see what that does. And that is using the WordPress AI client, which makes me very happy. Because if you're not aware of the WordPress AI client, I'm actually busy writing a blog post about it. But the WordPress AI client, let me just find you in a second. PHP AI client is something that the WordPress core AI team has developed to be able to make these kinds of requests to your different providers from PHP. So that's what I wanted to check. I'm very happy to see the folks in the plugin team are using it. So that's very, very cool. And that is the prompt that they're using. So if you don't want to use this tool and you just want to use something like ChatGPT, so let's go chat.openai.com. You could just grab this this prompt as it is. No, that's not what I want. And you could, no, I don't want that. You could put the prompt in, and then you could grab your plugin name. Let's just see what it's doing again. It is run name analysis, run similar name query. So it's just appending plugin name colon and the name and plugin description I provided. So you could just go plugin name and you could type in your plugin name. So let's go Jonathan's API demo. And that'll give you a similar result as running this in the plugin check plugin. So there's two different ways of doing it. If you don't want to have to use the plugin, you can do it this way. You'll see it's giving, what's nice about doing it this way is you will now get a little bit more information from the AI. You also won't have to store your credentials in the plugin name thing, but it's cool to be able to use the same prompt and that, you know, see what the folks are doing there. So yeah, check that out. If you are building plugins, I recommend using one of these two tools, one of these two options. The check namer is right there for you. So if you've got an AI key, you can use it. I think most of the AI services have a free tier. So even if you're not using AI for coding, you can use it for this. So yeah, that is the first checkbox on my list. So I'm going to mark that off. Done. Okay, let's move on. The other thing that I discovered some time ago was that, so if you have been following the, let me find the make core abilities API blog post. If you're following WordPress core development in WordPress 6.9, the abilities API was introduced to WordPress. Now the abilities API is not something that actually physically does anything. It doesn't perform any functionality. It just provides a way to register and expose capabilities in a standard machine readable format. This can be used for AI or for developers. I wrote a blog post about this for the developer blog. If you want to read more about what that does, you can check that out. Where is it now? There we go, here it is. So that I wrote about in November, just before we sent it to 6.9. So the one thing that we didn't get right for 6.9 was that the Abilities API has a JavaScript component. And what that essentially means is you can use the Abilities package in your JavaScript code, and then you can execute abilities from JavaScript. At the moment, if you're just using core and you're using abilities in core, you have to basically query one of the REST API endpoints using API fetch or one of those things. With the JavaScript client, you don't have to do any of that. You just use the core functionality that the JavaScript API makes available. And the goal was always to, as far as I understood it, when this was released in 6.9, which was back in early December, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's when it came out. The goal was to ship the Abilities API JavaScript client as a package with Gutenberg. So I discovered that about 3 weeks ago, I think it's Jorge, I think that's how I pronounce his name. He's one of my colleagues at work and he's also a contributor to Gutenberg. He shipped the experimental support for abilities into Gutenberg. So this was merged in Gutenberg version 22.0 as far as I know. So that means if you have a WordPress install, a WordPress 6.9 install, and you don't have any plugins active, but you install the Gutenberg plugin, you should be able to use the JavaScript API. So I'm going to try that today and see if that does indeed work. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Gutenberg plugin. There it is over there. And then once this has been installed, I'm going to see if I can do what I want to do. I want to acknowledge AJ, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Denny Young, to the chat. I didn't see you guys join, so welcome. Okay, so let's activate Gutenberg, and I want to see if they have enabled this by default, or if it's something that I need to enable in the experimental settings business. So let's go back to the dashboard. So tool settings. Oh yeah, hang on, there's usually a Gutenberg settings thing. Oh, I haven't activated it yet. Silly boy. Here we go. There's the Gutenberg. So let's go to experiments. Experimental blocks, form and input blocks, grid interactivity, tiny MCE, client-side media, real-time editing, color randomizer, enable for posts, quick edit, new media mobile, full page, client-side navigation, customizable template activation that I've been testing and playing with. Okay, so it looks like it's enabled by default when you install Gutenberg. So what that means is I should be able to, so let's go over to my dashboard here. Let's open up the Abilities API. And let's go and find the docs. Let's go and find the JavaScript client docs. I should be able to query these abilities, and I'm pretty sure they'll be sitting on the WP object. So let's have a look and see if that is indeed the case. So I'm going to hop over to my console here, and I'm going to console log WP. Okay, it doesn't look like it's available on it. Let me just see WP. Just see what's on the WP object. Okay, it doesn't look like it's there, so it looks like I'd have to trigger it somehow. I want to just see. I want to go back to that pull request. Have a look at how folks are using this. Ability. Is this? Oh, this is the wrong pull request. This is the wrong pull request. The one that I was looking for is not that one. Hang on, let me find it. The one that I'm looking for is a closed pull request. I'm looking at completely the wrong repository. Let's try that again. Not going to find the pull request that I want unless I... Okay, so I'm going to go back to, because this was shipped as part of the 22.2 release. So let's go here and say 22.2.0. Here we go. It's there. I found this. I found the PR I was looking for a while ago. Now I can't find it. Give me a second. I'm going to open up my Slack and I'm going to open up my work Slack because I had a conversation with somebody about this. I'm going to do it off screen so that you all can't see my work stuff. So let's just go here. Oh, I didn't have it with that person. Okay, 1 second. There we go. Oh, it was 22.2. Okay, there we go. Okay, so from the browser console, what I should be able to do is, let's try it again. See if that works. Okay, so API. Okay, so that seems to have worked. And there's executability. Now, obviously, you wouldn't necessarily do this inside of JavaScript code. You would do differently, but I should be able to get executability out of that. So const executability equals abilities API executability. Okay, and then I also want to get the other one. Get abilities equals abilities. I wonder, actually, hang on, I can do this. I can do this a better way. So abilities API has get abilities and executability and get abilities. So let's go get abilities, execute ability. That should work. So now I should have get abilities. Get abilities, yes, get abilities work. So now if I go let ability, I can't spell today. No, abilities equals, should just be get abilities. And console log abilities. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I just realized it's kind of small. I need some plus, I think. Oh, here we go. 1, 2. Okay, so let's have a look here. So there we go. So core get site info, core get environment info. Pretty awesome. There are my abilities. So now I should be able to go let result equals execute ability, and let's pass in core get site info. That should give me a result. And suppose a console log results. I should get a bunch of information. Oh, it's a didn't do that properly. Probably gonna have to do it this way. let's try. There's the result. And there we go. There's the admin email and all that stuff from my local install. So that's kind of cool. That means two things. That means you can start using Ability's JavaScript API client now if you have a Gutenberg plugin installed. And it means this will probably get shipped with WordPress 7.0. So by then, all the abilities that are part of core will be available in the JavaScript client. So when you're building JavaScript things, you can just query it using executabilities or whatever the case is. And the other thing it means is that if this pull request that we were looking at earlier, which is the wrong one that I had open, did I have it right in my notes? That was the one that I was supposed to open. There it is. I found it. Let's go and open that one. So it wasn't 3 weeks ago. When was it? It was October already. Oh, okay. That was a while ago. I missed that completely. Basically, it's adding experimental abilities and workflow palettes to the command palette. So what that means, plus J. If I go command palette, command J, does it work? Maybe I need to be an editor. Couldn't be experimental. Okay, so this is experimental components. Okay, let's enable that. Blocks, grid, disable, media, random, crack, new, page. Workflow palette. Yes. Enables the workflow palette for running workflows composed of abilities from the web interface. So now what's cool about that, so let's save that. If I open up the command palette and I go command J, for example, now I can run abilities and workflows. So it picks up what abilities are available and then executes them and then does things. I wish I'd have known this because I recently did a WordPress demo and I was trying to use abilities and I didn't know you could just run it like this. So that's kind of cool. What that means is that if you have an ability that does a whole bunch of things, you can run that from the command palette. So I need to play around with that. That's kind of cool. I want to understand how you can send input to it because that would be something I want to be able to do. But you can have an ability that does 4 or 5 things. Like you can have an ability that updates your plugins and updates your themes, and then you just run the command palette and then you say update site or whatever, and it runs it all for you. So that's kind of cool. I'm glad to see that happening. So that was an update there on the abilities API. I'll put all these links when I upload the video to YouTube. So I'll put all these links to the pull requests and things in there, but that was the right pull request when it happened. So that's that one. So while we're there, let's chat about the other link that I meant to open, which I got the wrong way around. So let's tick this one off. And that was the fact that there is a pull request open to add more abilities to WordPress core. So basically core post management abilities. And the idea is to add abilities for create post, get post, find post, and update post. There's a big discussion around how this should work, but essentially you'll be able to, with the JavaScript client, you'll be able to run this from browser, so you can run it from anywhere, editor, any plugins, any themes, whatever the case may be. And the whole point is to eventually make sure that everything that WordPress does is available by ability. So this is kind of a start process to that. There's a big discussion around, Jason mentioned, the idea of polymorphic abilities like this. Should the create post ability be able to create any post or strictly a post? Should there then be a create page, create attachment, blah, blah, blah. So there's a big conversation going on. If you are interested in this development, I highly recommend checking it out. Because I think it's kind of cool. I think the ability to be able to trigger any of this functionality from AI is kind of cool. Be able to set up workflows, set up automations, just be able to create custom things. I did something recently, as I mentioned, I don't think I've got it installed anymore. But I did a WordPress demo where I was basically showcasing some of the updates that came to WordPress 6.9, and I triggered that from the command palette. So I just hit Command K, and then I entered the first couple of letters, and that triggered a command, which triggered a custom ability, which did a bunch of things, and it was kind of cool. So everything was command palette based. It just changes how you interact with WordPress. You don't have to navigate the dashboard anymore. You can just create custom commands for custom tasks, custom workflows. You can access them from the REST API endpoints. You can access them from AI. So yeah, exciting to see that we're getting more core post ability, or at least more core abilities. And that's all I have to say about that. Okay, let us tick off items in my list. We've done that one. We've done that one now. 2 items to go, half an hour left. So let's see. I'm kind of wanting to give myself a little bit of time for this last one because I feel like it's going to take a long time. So this one is more of a check this out update. Essentially, the WordPress Core AI team has released version 1.1 of the AI Experiments plugin. And the goal of this plugin is essentially just to showcase the different building blocks within WordPress and how they work. So at the moment, some of the ideas is we want to have an AI playground. They want to build a content assistant. They want to build a site agent. They want to show some workflow automation. And so the goal is just to create a plugin that showcases what is possible with all of these tools, so that users can install it, can check it out, can see what it does. Developers can play with it, can look at the code, maybe use the code for some of their own workflows. So I'm going to install this now and just kind of see what it can do. And then we will take it from there. So let us download. Oh, they haven't got a build. It's a pity. Okay, let's do it the old-fashioned way, and I'll clone it. So let me go into my. Let's clear this. Pretty sure this is my WordPress local WordPress site. It is. So it was already in the plugins directory. It just stayed there. Let's clone that. And then let us just see, probably Composer, and yeah, so let's Composer install. And let's npm install. While that's doing that, I'm going to disable Gutenberg. Okay, there's the experiments plugin. I seem to have lost my camera for some random reason. What's going on here? So this thing is telling me the battery's dead, but I have it plugged into power. I'm not sure why it thinks the battery's dead. Oh, that's rather annoying. Okay, folks, I'm going to have to switch over to a backup camera now. Let's see if I can fix that. Okay, you're stuck with this view now. I don't know why that happened. It is very annoying. Gonna have to move my mic out of the way. You're gonna have to see more of my face now. More of my shirt, shall I say. Okay. I'm gonna plug this into the battery and see if it will charge. I got this new camera a while back. I think I might have fried the battery now. Anyway, we will see. Okay. Where were we? Okay, we were installing things. So we've installed everything. So let's run a bold. Okay, so now if I activate this, I should get a menu of some kind. Yeah, there we go. Credentials, experiments. So it's using the WordPress AI client SDK to manage client credentials, which I was fiddling with the other day, which is why my credentials are already saved. So that's good. And then if I go to AI experiments, let's see what we currently have on that page. So I need to enable experiments. Let's save changes. And at the moment, it can excerpt generation can be enabled, image generation, content summarization, and title generation. Okay, so let's save changes there. And now I wonder if that all happens like inside of a post. So let's create a new post and let's see if that does anything. I don't know. I don't know what this does. Right, there's a document here. Provides a generate excerpt button in the excerpt panel. Okay. WordPress post editor in the AI excerpt panel. Okay. So generate an excerpt. Oh, there. Okay. All right. So let us do this. I'm busy working on a blog post. I have to take this off screen again. Sorry, folks. So I'm going to bring this back to the screen in a second. So I'm busy working on this post. So let's imagine that we're working on that post. Right? So what I want to go copy as markdown. And I want to paste. Okay. Let's take the title out there. Add the title in there. So let's say I'm working in a post. Let's save the draft. And now I can generate an excerpt. Okay, so it's doing some things. And there we go. Discover how the WordPress AI client simplify adding AI features to your plugins and themes by centralizing AI, API integrations and credential. Oh, it's actually got more. Okay. And credential management. It's a whole excerpt. That's pretty cool. There's a regenerate excerpt option. I like it. There is also... Okay, so that's that. Let's see if we can... what are the other ones that we enabled? So let's go to AI experiments. Image generation. Generate an image from past in prompt. I wonder if that's... I wonder where that would be. Maybe in the media library? Let's see. Don't see any buttons anywhere. Maybe in the post. Again, I don't see buttons anywhere. There's only documentation for the excerpt. Okay, what I'm going to do here, I was doing this recently and I found this to be very handy, and I suggested that we update all of these repositories with a button to this. But in DeepWiki, if you haven't heard of DeepWiki, it's this thing which will turn your GitHub repository into like living documentation, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go and have a look at that quickly. And I'm going to see if I can ask DeepWiki or ask Devon. So once you run your code through it, it was last indexed 20th of November. That's annoying. So let me ask Devon to update. Bicycles. Yes. Yes. No more. Now this could take a while, which is frustrating, but when last was this updated? So this was updated December 2nd, so maybe it'll have the latest information. So let's say, where is the image generation experiment? WordPress admin. For some reason I still can't spell experiment. Oh, it's not currently available. Okay, this might be, okay. So it looks like title. Title might be possible. Generates title from content. Okay. So let's see. Ah, there's a generate button. Okay. So if we remove the title, then we can go generate. And it takes the content, obviously uses the AI client, passes it off to one of the models, and then returns some titles. So that's cool. I'm going to select that one, for example, and there it is. I wonder if the image thing works on the image block. Let's have a look. Image block. Okay, there doesn't seem to be a generate image option available. I'm guessing this is not implemented yet. And then what was the other one? Title, content summarization. I also don't see that one anyway. Let's go back here. Sometimes these updates, it hasn't updated in a while. Okay. All right. Not the end of the world. I think it's pretty cool to see these things in place. So you can generate a title from content. You can generate an excerpt. It looks like it's going to support image generation. Let's actually check in the release. What is the release say it includes? Plugin settings, playground. Okay, this is all dev stuff. Okay, let's go back to previous release. Experiment registry load. Okay, base class, title generation, admin screen. That okay. So it is only the title and excerpt. That's fine. Okay, cool. So the rest is probably still coming. But that's pretty cool. Glad to see that work is progressing. Kudos to the team working on it. I look forward to seeing some more of these things becoming available. All right, one more thing to check off on my list for today. I feel like I'm kind of speedrunning this, and I probably kind of am because it's a Saturday and I don't feel like live streaming for a long time today. I'll be honest. I'm also annoyed about my camera. I'm gonna have to figure that out next week, and that's just frustrating. I'm actually going to just unplug it. I'll worry about it on Monday. So the last thing I wanted to do is this thing WP bench. Okay, so to go through that, I'm going to open up a few things here which are in the make Slack. So I'm going to pull that over because I don't mind showing you that. But basically, where is the post? Here we go. Introducing WP bench. So my understanding about WP bench is it answers the question, how well do language models actually understand WordPress? So this is important because if you're using a coding tool or you're using an AI agent, you're going to want to know which is the best one to use for WordPress development. Okay? And what WP bench does, it evaluates how well AI models understand WordPress development from core AIs, coding standards to plugin architecture and security best practices. Right? It is available as an open source repository. It's part of the core AI team. It uses Python as far as I can see. And I don't know if my Python configuration is like set up properly on my machine. I also need to create env files with provider keys. So I'm going to have to take some things off screen to do that. But apparently this is how it all works. So I'm guessing you clone it and then you can run it. So let's do that. So let's go over here to this. I'm going to go to my root and I'm going to go to CD development projects and I'm going to clone WP bench. While that's cloning, I'm going to open it up in... No, it's not what I want. I should actually open this up in PyCharm or something. I'll open it up in PHP Storm because YOLO. There's WP bench. Okay. Right. So now I need to run this stuff. So let's do this from the command line. Okay. Right. So fingers crossed this works. Okay, that looks good. Now I need to create the .env file. So I'm going to create the file in PHP Storm, and then I'm going to go over to I wonder, should it just be in the root? I guess. Okay, and I'm going to copy these out. Okay, and I'm going to take out the Google API key because I don't have one. And I'm going to move this over to my other screen because that's where my keys are currently. And I'm going to copy my keys over so that you don't see me do that. I'm going to check OBS to make sure you can't see me doing that. Yes, good. I've just done this completely wrong. I put the OpenAI API key next to the wrong constant. So I'm only going to be working with OpenAI and Anthropic models today, because those are the only two that I have currently active keys for. I'm then going to close that file, bring PHP Storm back, and I'm never opening that file again. Let's just open the README and leave the README open. Okay, so with that in play, according to this, I should be able to cd runtime, npm install, npm start. So let's go cd runtime, npm install. I'm going to move my okay, so that seems to have worked. And then pip install. Oh, I didn't do this earlier. Lost. Let's go back one. This all seems to be very much Mac-based, so if you're on a Mac, this will probably work as it is working for me today. If you're on Windows or Linux, things might be different. I'm going to try it on my Ubuntu workstation sometime next week, so your mileage may vary. But the way I figured, if you're using Python on a Windows machine or a Linux machine, you know what you're doing. Okay, so now we go cd runtime, but we did the other one. So npm install and then npm start. Just do it clear. npm start. Could not connect to Docker. Okay, I need to have Docker running. I don't actually use Docker, I use OrbStack. Okay, so this is obviously using some Docker environment. Okay, let's try that again. Probably WP-env in some way. Very possibly. Yeah, looks like it's using WP-env if I'm guessing right. This I'm going to cut out. So my plan is to do a highlights video for YouTube going forward, and I'm going to cut all of this out. It's one of the downsides about the live stream format. Sometimes you have to just sit and wait. This is so boring. It's the one thing I don't like about Docker stuff. It takes forever. I wonder what's in the bench example.yaml. I think I might have to customize this and remove. Let's go. WP bench dot. Yeah. I might have to remove the Gemini stuff, so it's a good idea to do that now. So local is fine. Let's remove Google Gemini because I don't have this. I think is all fine. Yeah. Okay. So let's do that. Oh, you can actually run, yeah, config, model name, blah. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, let's see if, yeah, that's all installed. All right, so let us do this. And then we want to use wp-bench.yaml. Config, wp-bench. Oh, okay, this is in a different location. Should I still be in the runtime? Bench. Let's go back up one. Oh, there, it went there. I missed that. Okay, so it is run from the root. I completely missed that. Okay, wp-bench.yaml. And let's go. No idea what this is going to do. I'm guessing it's downloading some local models and running them. I wish there was a way that I could get feedback on what it's doing. If there's anything about it in the post. results written to that. Okay. All right. Oh, here we go. Okay. So it was. So it starts development site. Starts running. Okay. Oh wow, so it's actually checking like all the models probably that I configured in the YAML file, I guess. Yeah, okay, so it's 4 and 4 mini, Claude Sonnet and Opus. So obviously you can configure other models. You probably could also configure like open source models and run them locally or from Hugging Face. So that would be something interesting to check out. Okay, so there's Claude Sonnet. I think Claude Opus is also out. So these things will need to be updated to whatever the newer versions are, I guess. While we wait. It kind of makes me wish I was doing this on my workstation because my workstation CPU is a lot faster. I assume it would make the benchmarking faster. Maybe not. Who knows? I'm going to try it out and see. I hope this thing reports how long this took. Because I think my next step I'm going to do is I'm going to try it on my workstation and compare the speed there and see if the GPU or CPU makes a difference. But this is the kind of thing you run in the background, not on a stream. Dearie, dearie me. Okay, so that is done. It doesn't show you. It would be nice to see how long it took. I would like to be able to see that. Knowledge. Okay, so it shows a knowledge percentage. It shows a correctness percentage. It currently doesn't show anything about quality, and then an overall percentage. And currently, Claude Opus is the better of the models, which is what I've heard from folks who are using these things. But that's a pretty cool thing to do, like once a week or once a month or whatever, and just see and make sure you're using the right information. Let's have a look at the output results and just see what that gives us. I'm guessing it's going to be a kind of a similar-ish. Okay, so it gives a bunch more metadata. Cool. So there's WP Bench. It's a great way to determine whether you're using the right model. I would love to see if other open source projects are using this. I would love to find out. I feel like I'm going to do some research around that. I also would love to see, as I say, on running it on different machines. I would love to speak to somebody who's running an M4 chip and get them to run this, see how long it takes. It would be cool to see the time taken for the results in the response. I'll mention this to Jason. Hopefully it's a small thing to do, but it'd be nice to know like how fast it takes and then compare it to another machine. Because running benchmarks is something you want to be able to have as, running on the fastest machine possible, and then you know what you're dealing with. I also wonder how the machine you're running it on would affect it. Also, maybe it doesn't work that way. I don't know. I don't know enough about AI to know whether the machine you're running it on would affect the knowledge and correctness. I would assume so. But then when you're running it using Claude Code and GitHub Copilot and those things, then you're not running it on your machine. So I don't know. Maybe it's not relevant at all. But pretty cool nonetheless. I like seeing things like this. I don't know if I use Opus on any of my projects yet. I'm going to start using it from today because apparently it's got the highest overall. The correctness, I think, is more important to me than the knowledge. It is interesting that ChatGPT 4.0 has the most knowledge. So if I was going to be asking which function to use, I would probably use ChatGPT 4.0 because it has the widest amount of knowledge. But if I was writing code, I'd probably use Claude Opus. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, well, with that, folks, I'm going to end the stream. It has been an hour. I usually like to stream for about an hour, hour and a half. And it is Saturday, and I am tired because I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. So I'm going to call it a day. I have marked off all the things I wanted to mark off. I'm going to pull these links out and just pop them into the chat if you want to read up about any of these things. So let us just do this. Let us delete some of these checkboxes here. And I'll just pop this into the chat if you want to check out any of these things. I will also, that's not what I wanted. I will also add this to the YouTube upload. For 2026, I'm going to do things slightly differently. I'm going to upload my live streams on a Wednesday, not a Monday anymore, because I usually stream on a Friday and getting it ready for the Monday is becoming a bit of a pain. So for 2026, I'm going to upload on Wednesdays. And I'm also going to upload a highlights video, not the full stream. I will still upload the full stream, but I'm going to upload that as maybe a second video on Wednesday or something. Let me just pop these in the chat quickly, because I want to upload a highlight stream as sort of the main video and then link to the, sorry, a highlights video as the main video and then link to the stream. So what I might do is do the highlights video on the Wednesday and then the stream later on and then link the two. Maybe the stream will be unlisted. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm trying some experiments with my YouTube channel this year. But that's it for me, folks. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday, whatever time it is. And I will see you, all going well, next week Friday, as usual, at the normal time, or on YouTube or on the internet. All right, have a good one. Bye.